2008, Starbucks, the company that had become as American as the dollar bill itself, watched its stock collapse by 75%. Not 10%, not 20%, 75%. The company that had once opened 7 new stores every single day was now closing hundreds of them. Thousands of employees lost their jobs, and the man who had built this empire from a single coffee shop in Seattle had already walked away, convinced his work was done. He was wrong. And what happened next is one of the most dramatic corporate comebacks in modern business history. Before we get into how this whole thing started, if you love stories about businesses that nearly collapsed and somehow clawed their way back, hit subscribe. We drop one of these every week. And what's coming next? Let's just say it makes this story look calm. To understand how bad things got, you have to understand how good they once were. It's 1971. 3 friends open a small coffee and tea shop in Pike Place Market in Seattle. They're not trying to build an empire. They just love good coffee. The store does okay, nothing special. Then, in 1982, a young, hungry marketing director named Howard Schultz walks in, and he sees something nobody else sees. Schultz takes a trip to Milan, Italy, and he's floored. Not by the coffee itself, but by the experience around it. The espresso bars, the warmth, the ritual, neighbors talking to neighbors, people slowing down for 10 minutes in the middle of a chaotic day. He comes back to Seattle with one idea burning in his mind. What if we could bring that feeling to America? The original Starbucks founders weren't convinced. So Schultz eventually buys the company himself for just under $4 million in 1987 and starts building. And he builds fast. Within a decade, Starbucks isn't just a coffee shop, it's a lifestyle. The stores are designed to feel like a third place, somewhere between home and work where you actually want to be. The lighting is warm, the music is curated, the baristas know your name. You don't just buy a latte, you belong somewhere. By the late 1990s, Starbucks is opening roughly 7 new stores per day. It pushes into Japan, the UK, China. It becomes one of the most recognized brands on the planet. The stock price multiplies dozens of times over. Schultz is celebrated as one of the greatest business minds of his generation. And then, as often happens with stories like this, success starts doing something dangerous. It starts making people comfortable. Here's the thing about rapid growth. It has a hidden cost. When you're opening 7 stores a day, you're not carefully selecting locations. You're not deeply training every barista. You're not protecting the experience that made you special in the first place. You're just expanding. By 2000, Howard Schultz steps down as CEO. He becomes chairman, moves into a strategic role, and hands the day-to-day operations to someone else. He trusts that the machine he built will keep running. For a while, it does. But underneath the surface, things start slipping. The stores start to feel less like that Italian espresso bar Schultz once fell in love with, and more like a fast food chain with better furniture. Efficiency becomes the priority. Speed over soul. The espresso machines get taller, which sounds like a small thing, but it means customers can no longer watch their drink being made. That little moment of theater? Gone. Starbucks starts selling hot sandwiches. The smell of burnt cheese begins competing with the smell of fresh coffee. Merchandise piles up near the entrance. The music gets louder and more commercial. One by one, all the small details that had made the experience feel special start disappearing. And customers notice. They don't always say it out loud, but they feel it. Then, 2007 arrives, and the economy starts to crack. The 2008 financial crisis hits American consumers like a freight train. People who once thought nothing of spending $5 on a morning latte start looking at that transaction differently. Starbucks, once a small daily luxury, suddenly feels like a luxury they can't justify. Competitors smell blood. McDonald's launches its McCafe line. Dunkin' doubles down on its everyday people branding. The message is simple. Why pay $5 when you can pay $2? For the first time in its history, Starbucks starts losing customers. Not a trickle, a flood. Let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets brutal. Between 2007 and 2008, Starbucks stock drops from roughly $36 per share to under $9. That's a destruction of billions of dollars in value. The company's same-store sales, the key metric that shows whether existing locations are growing, fall for the first time ever. In 2008, Starbucks announces it will close 600 stores across the United States. Then that number climbs to 900. Nearly 700 stores in Australia close. Thousands of employees, people who had built their lives around this company, are let go. The brand that had once felt untouchable is suddenly being discussed in the same breath as companies that don't survive. And at the center of it all is a company that had grown so fast, so confidently, that it had forgotten to ask the most important question a business can ask. Why do our customers actually love us? Here's what gets me about this moment. Starbucks hadn't necessarily done anything evil. They just slowly became ordinary. And ordinary, for a brand built on experience, is its own kind of death. I'm genuinely curious. Have you ever walked into a place you used to love and just felt like something was gone? Like the soul had quietly left the building? Tell me in the comments. I want to know what that was for you. January 2008. Howard Schultz picks up the phone and makes a decision. He's coming back. Not as chairman, not in an advisory role. He returns as CEO, full authority, full accountability. And from day one, he makes clear that this is not going to be a gentle, gradual turnaround. This is going to be surgery. The first thing he does shocks the industry. He closes every single Starbucks location in the United States, all 7,100 of them, for one afternoon. No customers, no revenue, just staff. And for 3 hours, every barista in America is retrained on how to make a proper espresso. It costs the company millions of dollars in lost sales. Analysts question the decision. But Schultz isn't optimizing for that afternoon's revenue. He's sending a message to his employees, to his customers, and to himself. We remember what this was supposed to be. That's just the beginning. Schultz cuts the food items that don't belong. He removes products that dilute the brand. He redesigns stores. He brings back the ritual of handcrafted drinks. He kills an internal loyalty program that had been cheapening the brand and builds a new one grounded in genuine reward. He also does something that most CEOs in crisis mode refuse to do. He gets honest with his own team. In a letter that becomes legendary inside the company, he tells his leadership directly that Starbucks had made decisions that, in hindsight, traded long-term integrity for short-term growth. No spin, no blame shifting, just clarity. And clarity, it turns out, is a powerful thing. By 2010, just 2 years after the darkest moment, Starbucks posts record profits. The stock begins climbing back. By 2012, it has fully recovered and continues rising. The company that was being written off as a cautionary tale becomes, instead, a masterclass in how to rebuild. Not by chasing what competitors were doing, not by cutting prices or running promotions, but by remembering, with painful honesty, what had made it worth loving in the first place. Here's the one thing I want you to take from this story. Growth is not the same thing as health. Starbucks didn't collapse because the market changed or because a competitor outsmarted them. They collapsed because they confused scale with strength. They expanded so fast that they left their own soul somewhere on the side of the road and didn't notice until customers started leaving. The comeback didn't come from a new product or a clever marketing campaign. It came from a leader who was willing to stop, look his company in the eye, and say, "We lost something real. Now let's go find it." That's a principle that doesn't just apply to billion-dollar corporations. It applies to anyone building anything, a business, a career, even a relationship. The moment you stop asking why people value what you offer, you start the slow drift toward ordinary. And ordinary is just a slow way of disappearing. If any part of this story surprised you, maybe the store closures, maybe the scale of the crash, maybe just the sheer speed of the recovery, go ahead and hit like. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who would love stories like this one. And here's what I really want to know. Which company do you think almost didn't make it? There are so many stories still untold. Founders who bet everything and nearly lost it all. And I want your suggestion to shape what we cover next. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Your pick might just be our next episode. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. These stories drop every week, and you don't want to find out 2 videos in that you've been missing them. See you next time.